that cancer vaccine, that cancer virus that was in the original polio vaccine. One reason why the incidence of bone cancer and brain cancer and lymphoma and mesothelioma and epidemic and medulloblastoma in children has gone up. And when they biopsy them, they find evidence of this cancer-producing virus that was introduced into our population through the original polio vaccine.
And no doubt by design, and German news is reporting that they're growing it again in the same monkeys that have the SV40 for the virus stock in the European vaccines.
Well, God help those people over there, supposedly, and all we know is what they tell us, Alex. Supposedly, the American vaccine is going to be grown in the yolk of eggs. But then we get the chicken viruses. That's the frightening thing about this. And they've introduced so many viruses from so many animals. God gave us an immune system that allows us to fight off animal viruses. They can't get into our bodies unless you inject them with a needle.
Well, what about how for 5 years the FDA approved, it's now in wide use, not just irradiation of the meat, but they're now spraying in Latin, I can't pronounce it, that means bacteria-eating virus. They grow it in giant vaccine tanks with other viruses and RNA and are now spraying it on most meats we get at the store.
Well, I'm very concerned that so much of what they're doing to our food supply, it will lead to terrible problems. Certainly, we know that the genetically modified corn that they have introduced across America, and of course, it is contaminating our entire corn supply here. And chickens are a lot smarter than people. Chickens won't eat it. We know that it actually causes infertility in pigs. We know that studies have been done in Russia that shows it causes the genetically modified corn actually creates infertility in animals in Russia. And the people wanted to get the information out and were told you can't disseminate the information. And it's all about population control. We know that the Rockefeller Foundation and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Monsanto and a similar very large genetic modification company over in Switzerland are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to store seeds in vast vaults up above the Arctic Circle on a little island there. And nobody's asked, why are they storing all these seeds for corn and for wheat and for all the other vegetables and things, in these vaults where they'll be permanently frozen? And it should be very obvious. All of these people are dedicated to population control, and they want the seeds for when they start all over again.
They've stated this. In fact, the MI6 officer, he was OSS, who wrote the James Bond novels that were made into movies, he wrote Moonraker. And in that, the global elite and this head banker want to kill everybody on Earth. They, the eugenics pure, go to a space station. While they kill everybody on Earth, they're going to come back. But in the real government documents, they're not going to space. They've got the underground bases. And I saw a Reuters article 2 weeks ago. In fact, we can pull that up. UN chief or UN head visits seed vault. And it's this photo of the big armored mountain and the troops guarding the Ark. And then you read the transhumanists, they admit, which are the eugenicists, that they do plan to kill us. And they're putting in the police state grid to then carry out the medical mayhem and murder. And I want the troops and military to know something. I know this is probably going to go ahead and go to fruition. Just know you're going to be judged at your own hand. The masters you've served for are going to murder you and your family as well. Go ahead and laugh. Just remember, as you're dying with your family years from now, you asked for it, you were warned, you wanted to be part of it. Dr. Monteith?
Men and women become accomplices to the evils they fail to oppose. And the people within the military who are carrying out the orders of our leaders who have killed, I don't know if you'll have read the article by the shoe thrower, the man, of course, who threw the shoes at George Bush. He talked about the million Iraqis who were killed. He talked about the million widows there. He talked about the 5 million orphans in Iraq today. He talked about the suffering there, the people, how they've turned the Arabs against one another. One time, the Sunnis, the Shias, the Christians got along well together, but since the Americans came in, the Christians have been driven driven out, and of course, everybody is everybody else's throat, and we are sending in agent provocateurs to commit acts of terrorism to maintain this division. But this is all because the American people haven't had the courage to stand up. Oh, they voted for Barack Obama, who is, of course, expanding the war in Afghanistan today because he is a servant of the elite. And we're talking about the Trilateral Commission, as you do as well, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderbergers, this financial elite led by David Rockefeller, who has a different worldview because he worships a different God. And until people understand that there is a powerful spiritual force, a Luciferian force behind everything going on today, and they really hate humanity, and that's why they're storing the seeds. So they will have them there.
Well, when they there are videos of Maurice Strong, as you know, saying we're going to destroy the entire industrial base through the world government. I mean, they're doing it now. Doctor, I remember when I was first on your show back in '99 when I was out there covering Operation Urban Warrior in Oakland with the Marines trying to confiscate our guns on video. Look how much has happened now. Everywhere they've got troops on the streets. I mean, the reports, it's just intensifying incrementally.
Well, certainly, but on the other hand, you know, more and more Americans are beginning to know what's going on. I think that the other side is frightened, and I think they're going to start moving very, very rapidly. I think that this march that we had in Washington, D.C., I think was the 12th of September, and it's probably between 1 million, 1.5 million people were there. I think that this really has them disturbed because this was an amazing thing. In fact, there would have been a lot more people there if they hadn't turned back the buses and the cars and people trying to come and join in that demonstration. You are waking up an awful lot of people, you and certainly a few of the others who have...
Yeah, but the problem is they then put the operative Glenn Beck in there to lead them. We wake the people up, and then we turn them over to Glenn Beck.
Well, he's as phony as a $3 bill. He would not... Everybody has to understand that Glenn Beck would not be on national television if he was telling the truth. So basically, he's going to say some things that are absolutely right, and you agree with, but that's the old bait-and-switch technique. He gets in there, he gets your confidence, and then he gives you a lot of information that is frankly not true. And that's why I think people look to you for leadership. They look to you for reliable information. I appreciate so much you're getting that information out, and you must be ruffling a lot of feathers because you're getting so much opposition. People are saying, you've got to get that guy off the air. They're saying that locally here in Santa Cruz. And, of course, hopefully our station manager is going to have the courage to keep you on. But certainly, people are beginning to wake up. I've been at this for 47 years, and we are seeing more people upset now, and especially when they're threatening our healthcare workers being fired. And let me say to the healthcare workers who are there, just tell them, if you fire me, and I'm going to sue you, and I will tell any of them, I'll come back and testify you. First of all, you do not need to take the shot because by the time they have the vaccine for the H1N1 influenza virus, why the epidemic is going to be just about over. It's already peaking out as we speak today. But they've got 195 million doses of the vaccine. What are they going to do with it? They've got to give it to the people. That's why they want to double up on the amount of mercury they're going to give to our children. Every child less than 10 years of age, they want to give them not one but 2 swine flu shots.
Doctor, absolutely. And the key point you make here from the CDC's own website is it's now going to be peaking in the next couple of weeks. Why then, for something incredibly mild, are they doing this? They're just fear-mongering this event to be able to expand their control. But going back to radio stations, plug the local station I'm on.
It's Komi, K-O-M-Y, here in the Monterey Bay area, and they're doing a great job of getting your information out. And I hear, but very, very few people object to it. Most people really appreciate what you're saying. And I know.
Well, I know that MZ, the owner of those stations, has had me on 2 different ones.
Right.
And I know it's been very popular, but he has said there are people viciously, a minority, saying, get me off. I want to explain something to those people. 10 years ago, or about 9 years ago, I was offered a national radio slot. I was told I would be the next Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck wasn't on the scene yet. They said we need a young Rush Limbaugh, no more New World Order, no more Federal Reserve. you reach out and grab people on the radio, but of course, as a journalist, they said this is a private meeting. You're not going to discuss this, non-disclosure, but this is the offer. And then I had some other offers along the road. And if I wanted to be on 500, 600 radio stations and be making $50 million a year like Glenn Beck or Rush Limbaugh, I could have done it. The money means nothing. When you know they're putting cancer viruses in vaccines, when you know